Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Paths to Canada, and it's nice to have this make this video and share it with you guys once again. Today we are going to look at the language tests that are required if you want to immigrate to Canada. What are the language tests that you are expected to take, be it in English or in French? So today let's look at what we have here for the language test. Okay, so here is our usual website for the Government of Canada and Immigration and Citizenship. So once you are in this website, you scroll down and click on Immigrate and go to Express Entry and click on how Express Entry works. So under the three classifications of the three programs of the Express Entry, we have the Canadian Express Class, Federal Skilled Work, and Federal Skilled Trades. Any of the ones you click here, anyone you click here will definitely give you that language requirement. So I usually go with the Federal Skilled Worker. You can go with any of them, it's the same. So click Learn More, and then you go to Language Ability. Okay, so if you click on Language Ability, you will see the language in English language or French language test that you're supposed to take. Note that you will be evaluated on 4 categories: writing, reading, listening, and speaking. These are the 4 categories you are expected to write your English or French language on. So if you click on take approved language test, and then click on approved language test. So scroll down a little bit here, you will see the language tests or exams you are allowed to take with regards to immigrating to Canada. So for English, we have the CELPIP, which is the Canadian English Language Proficiency Index Program. That's the CELPIP. And we have the IELTS, which is the IELTS, International English Language Testing System. So this is a very popular one with English language tests. So the IELTS is a very popular one. And for this, it has to be the general test, okay? It has to be the general test. I think we have the academic test, which is for students, those who want to come to study in Canada. That's for the academic test, but for the general test is for immigration purposes only. So both the IELTS and the CELPIP both are for the general test. Okay. All right. And for French, we have the TEF. We have TEF Canada, which is Test d'Évaluation de Français. And we also have TCF Canada, which is Test de Connaissance du Français. So you will be tested on both English and French, either in the writing, reading, listening, and speaking. These are the 4 criteria you will have to write your test on. So, and if you scroll down a little bit, you will begin to see what are the scores here that you are required to meet for you to pass or meet the requirements when it comes to the language test. So for the federal skilled program, so if you're applying for the federal skilled program under the Express Entry, the minimum requirement for CELPIP is 7, okay? The minimum requirement is 7. Note that the higher you get or the higher you score, the better and the more chances and the more points you make. So, but the minimum requirement is 7. So if you score 6.5, that will automatically disqualify you or disqualify your application. So you don't meet the minimum requirement. So it's 7, and for IELTS, same 7, and TEF 7, and TCF same. So this is for the federal skilled worker. So again, you have to note, if you are bilingual, if you can speak both French and English, you are allowed to take the 2 language tests. That will also boost you, boost your point, or boost your chances very, very much. So if you are good at both English and French, you're allowed to take the English language and take the French. So if you take a look here, all right, there we go. So if you're applying for the federal skilled trade programs, okay, so you are not expected to have up to 7 in the federal skilled trade. So you will be able to have about anything from 4. If you score 4, you will be able to qualify. So if your score is from 4 instead of 7 with the federal skilled trade, you will qualify to make your application. That's for the federal skilled trade, which is different from the federal skilled workers program. The federal skilled trade programs, they lower the minimum score, which gives those in that field more opportunity. Again, the more you score, the better for you. So the same goes for the English and French, and these are the scores for the French, for the TEF and TCF. So if you score between 180 to 225, you have 4, and you score from this, then you have 5. So all that, both in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So they are all categorized in different ways. So you have to take a look, study them, and know exactly what your score is, and find out if you meet the minimum requirement after writing the exam, and then take your score. So the most important thing why I'm doing this and showing everyone where you can have this information is so that you can go look it up yourself, make some research on it, and find out exactly if you meet the qualification or not, or if you meet the criteria or not. So that's it. That's just the whole purpose of doing this. I'm not a fan of coming out reading it or just telling you without letting you know where you can find those resources or information. So that's my reason of doing all this. So for the Canadian experience class, this is it here. You, based on your level or your job description, if you are in the tier 0 or tier 1, which is tier 0 is the any managerial position or management position, and tier 1 are jobs that need the university certificate or degree program. So if you are in any of those categories of your of jobs, or if you are in any of those job description or level, then your language minimum should be 7. That's your Canadian language benchmark, should be 7, either in English or in French. But if you are under the tier 2 or 3, which is tier 2 are diploma programs of more than 2 years, and tier 3 are any tier 2 is has to do with diploma program or certificates that's it's more than 2 years. Then yes, you have to write the language test, and your minimum score should be 5. And tier 3 is those with certificates less than 2 years. So those less than 2 years certificates or diplomas are also expected to write the exam, and their score should be at least 5. So those are the language requirements and scores we'll be expecting. Again, like I said, when we'll be doing the different different programs like the Canadian Experience, Federal Skilled Worker, and Federal Skilled Trade. I will go more in depth as we look through the requirements needed. So that's the thing I wanted to talk about today concerning the language test. So we have 4 language tests you can write: the CELPIP, IELTS, TEF, and TCF. So these are the requirements that you are expected, the language requirements or language tests that you are expected to take. And while taking that, you put into consideration what job or what program you are applying for, or based on your job description. So if, for example, you are an accountant, that's a job that requires a university degree. And if someone is applying as a federal skilled trade person, which is, let's say, it's a carpenter or a mechanic, so their language scores are different. So for that person writing the exam as an accountant, you need a minimum of 7. And for the person writing the language test as a mechanic, you need, because it's a federal skilled trade, is a skilled trade program, then you need the minimum of 5. So yeah, once again, you can go through it. I'll show you how we got to that part. Once again, you go to cic.gc.ca, and then you go to English. It's pretty straightforward. Scroll down, immigrate, express entry, how express entry works. Click on any of these, and then click on language ability. Click on take approved language tests, and approved language tests. Scroll a little bit down. There you go. Language tests we accept: CELPIP, IELTS, TEF, and TCF. So you will be evaluated. So if you're preparing or have the intention of immigrating to Canada, here you go. This you must do. It's a must. It's the first thing you have to do before you even think of anything else. So you have to write the language test first if you're thinking of immigrating to Canada. So whichever that is available to you, you can write that, but the IELTS is the most, I think that's the general one that everyone writes when it comes to English. And then you can see what your score is. 6.5 if you're federal skilled. If you apply for the federal skilled workers program, will not qualify you. You need a minimum of 7. If you're applying for the federal skilled trades, you need a minimum score of 5. And then if you're applying as with the Canadian experience class, then that depends on your job description. Tier 0 and 1, you need a minimum score of 7. Tier 2 and 3, you need a minimum score of 5. So that's all I have for you guys today. If you like what we do, please kindly subscribe, like, and share our videos. I've not been getting much likes or subscription. Please do that to encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing and giving you all the information you need to make an informed decision if you want to immigrate to Canada. It may not be you necessarily, but maybe someone you know, a friend, a relative, classmate, a co-worker, anyone around you that you think this information might help. You can give them, forward it to them, or share it with them so that they can watch and subscribe. And also hit the notification bell so that you will be able to get notified anytime we post any new video concerning all these immigration processes to Canada. Thank you very much, and do have a wonderful day, and God bless.